regressive, will divide and have sweeping consequences in society, and prima facie vague, leaving a provision of misuse. This is how the Supreme Court of India described the newly notified UGC rules, which is amidst the latest political controversy in the country, with students across India staging protests against it. Hello, this is Ruchi Bhattar, and welcome to this episode of Instant Analysis, where I'll tell you what exactly went down in the top court on Thursday as it kept the 2026 rules in abeyance. To not leave a regulatory vacuum, the court clarified that the 2012 regulations shall be enforced so that people cannot be remediless. The new UGC rules aimed at combating caste discrimination on campuses, notified on January 13th this year, were challenged in the top court via writ petitions questioning its constitutionality, saying that they were discriminatory against the general category. A bench of CJI Kant and Justice Joymala Bagchi, after a detailed hearing, sought a reply from the centre on the constitutionality of the newly passed rules, as it said that the statute's language is prima facie vague and there is a provision of misuse, which is why it also needs an expert view. During today's hearing, Justice Joymala Bagchi noted that the extent of discrimination is reduced by excluding ragging in the new rules. He highlighted that Article 15, Part 4 of the Constitution empowers the state to make special laws for SC and ST and questioned excluding ragging from the new rule as to why should there be a regression in a protective and ameliorative law. He said, and I quote, that the principle of non-aggression also perpetuates in the law for protection, suggesting that we should not go to the extent of separation like in the US, and unity of India must be reflected in the educational institutions. The CJI also noted that in a country after 75 years, we have been aiming at creating a casteless society, and moving forward as well, we should create a casteless society, keeping an effective redressal mechanism in place at the same time. Crucially, it also tagged the Rohit Vemula petition challenging the 2012 UGC regulations with this matter, keeping the next hearing on March 19, 2026. In 2019, the mothers of Rohit Vemula and Payal Tadvi challenged the then existing 2012 UGC regulations for failing to effectively curb caste-based discrimination in higher education institutions after their children's deaths by suicide in 2016 and 2019 due to alleged caste-based harassment. Senior advocate Indira Jaisingh today highlighted that in September 2025, in the Vemula case, the Supreme Court gave an order which specified that there should not be any segregation, which is reiterated today. The CJI then highlighted that this kind of situation can be exploited by miscreants, asking the Solicitor General Tushar Mehta to get a response from the centre and indicating the formation of a committee of some eminent jurists, those who understand our social ethos and values. He said that the courts may not be fully experts, but those who are social engineers should be involved. He noted that in some states, it is policymakers' decision that one group is better even among the reserved category. There are haves and have-nots. The court observed that separate hostels, as mentioned in the new rules, cannot be the way forward. The CJI urged advocates to not make this a political issue, as the court only wanted to examine the constitutionality and requested against multiple filings in the same matter. Advocate Vishnu Jain, appearing for one of the petitioners, told the court that, and I quote, "A statute cannot presume that discrimination will only be by a certain section of the society," end quote. He sought a stay on Section 3C of the new rules, which define caste-based discrimination, arguing that the definition is completely averse to Article 14 of the Constitution. Here's a small background of the petition. One of the petitions filed by Advocate Vineet Jindal urged the court to read down and suitably amend Regulation 3C of the University Grants Commission Promotion of Equity in Higher Education Institutions Regulations 2026 so as to define caste-based discrimination in a caste-neutral, inclusive, and constitutionally compliant manner. Today, the court was told that one can't assume that discrimination will be only from one side. The petitioners drew a parallel between ragging and caste discrimination, as the 2026 rules excluded ragging, a point well considered by the court. The plea in the top court also states that the 2026 regulations adopt an exclusionary, asymmetric, and caste-specific definition of caste-based discrimination, thereby denying equal protection of law to a substantial section of citizens solely based on the caste. The petitioner argues that this excludes general category individuals, violates fundamental rights under Articles 14, 15, and 21, stating that 21 includes the right to live with dignity, including psychological integrity and equal access to institutional safeguards, all of which are systematically denied to non-reserve students under the impugned regime. With that, thank you for watching.